Hello, 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 hello. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome, 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 welcome. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope you guys are doing well. And I go live with a very, very special guest. And I cannot wait for you guys to join in. Good evening, madam.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you wonderfully. How are
Good.
you?
I am so wonderful. Been looking forward to this conversation.
Man, listen, I told my girlfriend today, I'm so freaking excited to be talking to you. Ah,
Same here, same here.
and hello to all my Heal Black Joy family. Hello to everybody that supports Dr. Lakara. I'm super excited about having this conversation, but I got to get into this introduction because this lady, this amazing soul, has to have the right introduction because she is a special person. Okay. So, hi, you guys. I am Lola Troy, the host and curator of Heal Black Joy, the learning platform for our community to heal our Black joy with tangible and attainable programs for the mind, body, soul, relationships, and business. And tonight, our guest is none other than Miss Dr. Lakara Foster, who is a proud native of New Orleans, Louisiana. She's a NOLA girl, y'all. Yeah, she's a NOLA girl. She's
All
a
day
NOLA
long.
girl. And she stars in the new YouTube show, The Gift, a web series following her life as a medium, minister, and spiritual teacher. She shares her gift of helping reunite people with their departed loved ones and giving them the gifts of healing, closure, and peace while helping them to see death, life, and God in a new way. She was nominated Author of the Year for her book, The Grown Woman's Guide to Greatness, a spiritual development tool for women seeking a more powerful existence. As a speaker, author, and spiritual development expert, she has coached hundreds, empowered thousands, been featured in numerous publications and on several television shows, including The Oprah Winfrey Show, VH1's Atlanta X's as a life coach, and TV1's The Sister Circle, and as of most recently, VH1's Couples Retreat as a psychic medium. Dr. Lakara Foster holds a bachelor's in psychology, a bachelor's in criminal justice, a master's in counselor education from FAMU, Florida A&M University, and a doctorate of ministry from the Interdenominational Theological Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Everybody give a warm welcome to our guest, Dr. Lakara Foster.
Thank you.
Yay. How are you, madam?
I am wonderful. It's been a crazy, super busy, great, listen, year, let alone day. But it's been amazing.
Right? It's been amazing. So this week's content for Heal Black Joy was pertaining to life is for the living. We talked about traumas and boundaries in the past few weeks, but next month is going to be dedicated to mindset. So I wanted to prepare our Heal Black Joy family for the month of mindset.
Nice.
So you're the perfect person to have this conversation with. And I'm super excited about having this conversation specifically with you because I went to a brunch, you guys, with this woman a few weeks back, and it was nothing short of amazing. But there was something that you said at that brunch that stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was life is for the living.
Yes.
Please explain, what does that mean to a group of people who are walking from the neck down dead and are just merely existing? Talk to us about that.
So, a lot of my work, I am a psychic medium. And so for people who ask, what does that mean? The psychic piece means that I have the ability to be able to tap into things that have happened, are happening, or will happen. As a medium, this gift allows me to be able to communicate with loved ones who have crossed over, right? And I usually tell people from the beginning, like, I'm not talking to the dead, because all we are energy, right? We're energy before we enter these bodies, while we're in them, and when we depart from them. And this gift just allows me to be able to tap into that energy. A lot of what work that I deal with really deals with grief, and a lot of people who are grieving. And a lot of times people get stuck in their grief, right? They get stuck when mama died. They get stuck when daddy died. They get stuck when, these things happen. And so my job really as a medium, and as a psychic, is to really get people unstuck, right? And so I tell people all the time that I'm hearing every single day when their loved ones are coming through. One is that it is inevitable that we are all going to go that way, right? We are all going to cross over to the other side. Like, you cannot escape life without going to the other side. But until that time, our loved ones want us to live. They want us to live. They want us to, eat great food and drink great drink and, make love and laugh and, all those good things. They want us to do all those things because that's what we're here for, right? That is why we are in these physical bodies, to be able to enjoy life. Because when we cross over, our soul still exists, that energy still exists, but we won't be able to touch it and feel it and hear it and see it the way we do in these bodies. And that's what it's for.
Yeah. I see in the comments, I'm stuck. My fiance passed recently. Letitia, I send love and light to you.
Yes.
And Dr. Lakara can speak to that particular thing about being stuck in that space of transition. I know you talked about that after a loved one transitions. I think a lot of people get stuck there in that moment, and they're literally mentally, spiritually, and they emotionally die. And so they're just existing and not living anymore. Yeah. So talk to us about how we get stuck in that moment a loved one transitions, because you discussed that at the brunch and it was so enlightening. It was something I had never heard before. And it was like, wow, that is so crazy. But we really do that when a loved one passes. We literally have an emotional death.
Yeah.
And we get stuck there. So talk to us about that transition, but not staying in that moment. Don't get stuck there, because their life was more than just that moment.
Yes, absolutely. And hey, J-Mo, I see you. So I often tell my clients, and I'm usually having these same conversations throughout readings all day long. One is, and I hope that this helps your Letitia. I hope this helps you. One is that what Spirit has helped me to understand is that there's no such thing as an untimely passing, right? That we all have a contract, a soul contract that we sign even before we get in these physical bodies, right? So we make this contract with God, the universe, the God of your understanding, whatever you want to call that thing or that energy. And so that contract says, hey, I'm going to come on this day, right? And I'm going to leave on this day, right? Now, even the scripture tells us none of us know the day or the hour. And so I often tell people that we have no control over the quantity of our years, but we certainly have some control over the quality of our years.
Ooh, right? That's good.
And so even, I tell people when someone passes, and this is what Spirit has helped me to understand, it is because we have fulfilled our soul's contract. We have done what we came to do. And so a lot of times in our ego and our mind and our humanity, we feel like, oh, they didn't have enough time, or, they're gone too soon, or they, and so Spirit is like, no, like, I did what I came to do. And what we don't know in these physical bodies is how we're going to leave, right? We don't know the how. But what Spirit helps me to understand is, this was the date. This was the date that I was going to go.
So I see you guys are in the comment. I see that you guys are speaking and listening to Dr. Lakara. I need you guys to share this live with your good girlfriends and your good homeboys, because this information is so key to us living our lives, not just merely existing, walking emotionally dead, walking spiritually dead, walking mentally dead. We gotta live and live life abundantly, right? And I think that Yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't understand that. Everybody say, "Hey, Dr. Foster," they know that you are. They know
I
that
see
you are the
Dr. Woodson
one.
on here. Hey, hey, hey! I see Chad. Yeah, they're blowing us up tonight.
Yeah. Hey, Dread. I just want to speak to all of you guys because people need to hear this information. Heart it up, you guys. Heart it up because we want to get this out. We want to get this information out. So, what do you say to those people? What do you say when they are stuck in that space of emotional death or mental death or spiritual death? What do you say to that individual that helps them get over that hump? What is it? What is the thing that you say to your clients that helps them get over the hump?
You know, so honestly, Lola, for everybody, it's something different, right?
Yeah.
And as a medium, when people are coming to me, they sometimes want to know, especially if they want to communicate with a loved one who's passed, and they want confirmation, because what I tell them is that our loved ones are always with us, right? They're always with us. And so sometimes people need the confirmation. I had a young lady came in the other day, and, you know, she said her mom, she's about 35 or so. Her mom passed when she's about 13. And I said, you know, we're talking and I'm giving her, you know, confirming for her.
Yeah.
And she was good. But it was one thing that I said that she was like, all right, like, I'm really good, right? And all I said was, I said, your mother wants to bring up the rainbows, right? I said, all she told me to say was rainbows. And so she starts laughing. And so she says, oh my gosh, she says, I just bought my daughter all of these clothes yesterday. She said, I was on the phone with my aunt. She's on the FaceTime. She said, I'm showing my aunt all the clothes. She said, and we're laughing because everything has rainbows on it, right? And I said to her, I said, that is your mother again confirming for you that even though she's not here in this physical body, that she's still with you, right? And they're still guiding us and protecting us and loving us. And so sometimes people just need to hear something that, you know, nobody else would know, right? That there's no other way that this has to be my mom. This has to be my grandma. This has to be my dad. And that helps, you know, people to be able to move forward and go on and just, you know, I've seen people, I'm a minister, I'm a counselor, and I'm a medium. And I believe that there are layers to healing, right? I do believe that counseling helps. Absolutely. I do believe that being in church, you know, on a spiritual level helps. But I also know that for some people, I've seen them say, I went to a reading and I got healed just like that, right? I had a reading and I heard from my mom, I heard from my sister, I heard from my dad, and I got healed just like that,
Absolutely.
right? And it's like, and you know, the other thing that's so amazing is like I have therapists that will send their clients to me, right? Therapists that will say, hey, this client needs a breakthrough. We've been working on this thing for 6 months around the passing of their mom, and I need you to help them, right? And I'll go in and we'll have a reading, and it's just the thing that they need to get to the other side.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And then I have clients that I'll say, listen, now we've done this work, right? I've confirmed for you that your mother, your brother, your dad, everybody's here. However, right, we've made confirmation that loved ones are here. However, now you should probably go to grief therapy, because then this is going to teach you, how do I live without them? Right? What are the tools, right? I need the tools because I'm used to talking to my mama every day. I'm used to talking to my daddy every day. I've lost my husband, you know, and we were married for 30 years, and now you need tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad that you spoke to the thing of the layers of healing,
yes,
where you tap into your psychic ability, you tap into your ministry, you
yes,
tap into your counseling, right?
Yes.
Speaking of our community, I want to go there. I want to have this deep dive conversation.
Yes.
I know for a fact, only because I know you, I know for a fact that in our community, specifically a Black community, there's this stigma around being a minister and also being a psychic medium, right?
Yes.
Being a Christian and then being able to speak to people on the other side.
Yeah.
Can you share with us? I'd love this story about your experience of the VH1 couples retreat. Can you just share the story with Hill Black Joy Tribe on how you were validated on both sides? And can you talk to us about taking that stigma off of your gift and taking that stigma off? Because I'm sure there's somebody watching that probably has a gift that they have not walked into.
That's good.
And and they're scared because they're so stuck in this antiquated thought process about, well, I'm a Christian and I can't do that because grandma said that that's this, right? But I need you specifically because I think that what you do in ministry, what you do in your gift is nothing but amazing. I had a personal reading from you and you totally blew my mind. And I know people on here are commenting, she is the truth. She is the truth. So speak to that experience and then talk to those people that are struggling, knowing that they have a gift, but they're like apprehensive to walk in it.
Right. Okay, so this is multi-layered here. So you're going to have to remind me, you're going to say, hey, speak to this and speak to this and speak to this.
Okay.
So, one thing is, and it's really why I decided to get my doctorate in ministry, right? I signed up for the doctorate program and I was like, okay, I'm going to play it safe and I'm going to do my doctorate on women in leadership in the church. And the Holy Spirit was like, no, you ain't. No, you're not. You're absolutely not. You're going to do it on this gift, right? Because everything was literally pushing me and moving me in a direction of, because mind you, I've been doing this for a long, long, long time. I won't tell my age here, right? But it's been a long, long, long time. And so I decided that, okay, I'm going to do it. I got to do it on this gift. And so some things happened, and long story short, I ended up getting my doctorate in this. But one thing that I've discovered through this process of researching and really wanting to understand, how do I reconcile this thing? It wasn't not for me, right? Because I was good for it. But I'm like, God, you got to help me reconcile this for the people, right? Mm-hmm. And so one thing was I was sitting in church, and this was in the middle of me getting my doctorate, and I was sitting in church, and I'm asking God, I was at a funeral, and I'm asking God, okay, God, like, you got to give me something to give to the people. And so I'm like, because I'm getting ready to start this whole thing on being interviewed and being on television and doing these things. And so what God helped me to understand, God said, listen, I promised my people eternal life, right? How will they know that I kept my promise if the medium doesn't demonstrate the gift? Ooh. Right. How will they know that there really is eternal life if the medium doesn't demonstrate the gift? And so for me, I was like, got it, right? And so as I'm doing my studies, I'm looking at, one, who were we before we actually became Christians, right? Who were we in Africa? Who were we, before we took this, we were brought over here on the transatlantic slave route? Who were we? And I needed to understand, what did we believe, right? And so one of the things that one of my mentors, Dr. Daniel Black, he said, if we were still in ancient Africa, like this wouldn't be special, right? Because this is what we did, right? And so I had to study and look at who was King James, why did he say these things, and then to be able to refute them, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is what I did the work on, to say, oh, okay, so this is what he had a problem with. This is why he was mad. This is why he lumped psychics and witches and astrologers and everybody in one category, because he had an issue. And when you can control, or you're being asked to write the Bible, you can say what you want to say. Now, prior to this 1611 version of it, there's no derogatory mention of these gifts, right? And so I feel like as Black people, as African people in America, we'd have to ask ourselves, why, right? Why would, people be okay with watching the Long Island medium, who I absolutely adore and love, right? Love watching her show, but not be okay with our own gifts, right? Why would we say it's okay to call on Jesus, right, who is an ancestor, right, but not call on my grandma, right, or call on my auntie? Why were we stripped of these gifts? Like, we have to ask ourselves that. And I think I always point to the movie, the Harriet movie with Harriet Tubman, where we know that Harriet had this gift as well, and she's literally hearing from God, and God is telling her, don't go that way, stop right here, pause, you go this way, right? So she's completely tapped in, using her gifts to get people to the other side. That's what you're doing, girl. Using these gifts to get people to the other side. Don't get me preaching up in here now.
Come on now. Come on.
And so for people who are, and then I'll get to the VH1 thing. For people who are stuck or wanting to know, how can I use this gift, or why should I use this gift? One is that I tell people, this is what I told the ancestors I would come and do, right? This is what I agreed that I would do. And I had a tarot reader tell me, she's pulling the cards. She don't know nothing about my spiritual gifts, right? She's pulling the cards. She's pulling the cards. And she stopped. She says, listen, I don't know what the spiritual gift is you have, honey. She said, but it's the only thing that God's going to support you doing.
Ooh.
That was a no-brainer for me. I let
Right.
the real estate license go. I let the teaching, the counseling certificate go. Right? Because God, if this is the only thing you're going to support me in doing, then this is the only thing I want to do.
Right.
I don't want to do anything else.
Right.
So talk about a little bit about the VH1 thing. I get this amazing opportunity to, I get this phone call from the producers at VH1, and they say, hey, we want you to be a part of this couples thing that we're doing. And, it's celebrity couples. It's like love and hip hop. And I'm like, I don't do that. I don't want nobody to throw no drinks in my face, right? So they're like, no, we promise you it's not going to be like that. So I say, okay, consult with God, consult with the Holy Spirit to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I get there. It's being filmed in Tucson, Arizona. And I'm there and I'm in the bubble for like 3 days. And I'm learning. I'm just teaching myself how to do my makeup because I'm thinking I'm going to have to do my own makeup, right? Mm-hmm. Clearly, that's not what happened, right? So as I'm sitting there and I'm waiting on them to come and pick me up for hair and makeup, and the way it works with me is Spirit begins to communicate with me before I enter into a room, before I enter into a reading. I wake up in the morning and Spirit is already communicating with me. And I'm usually just like taking notes because these are the people. I tell people I work for Spirit. So when Spirit starts communicating with me, I'm taking notes and I'm like, okay, so this is, somebody's going to connect with the brother who died on the motorcycle accident, or like this is what they're giving me. So I'm sitting in my room and I hear, father has passed, played baseball, and the number's like 8 and 3. So I'm sitting there and I'm already kind of like hesitant. And I'm like, okay, God, listen, because I don't know who's going to be there. I told the producers, don't tell me who's going to be there. I don't want to know, right? I want to go in without knowing because I don't want people to be able to say like, oh, you researched or whatever. So I started talking to God and I said, listen, God, I need to know that you're here with me. Like, I need to know that you are here with me. I need complete confirmation before we get to the lights and the cameras that you are here for me, right? Yeah. We're in this together. So God, so I begin to hear from Spirit and I'm hearing these things. So then they say, hey, we're waiting on you to get in hair and makeup. And we waited for like an hour. They go and they find this other makeup artist. They like, listen, we found somebody that can, get you in the chair. So I get in her chair and the sister starts doing my makeup. And she's like, oh, like, what are you going to be doing on the show? And I say, oh, I'm going to be I'm a psychic medium. That's what I came here to do. So she's like, really? She's like, what does that mean? And I said, well, I have the ability to communicate with loved ones who have passed, who want to come through and bring messages. So she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. She says, well, my dad just passed. And I was like, oh. I was like, so I put out my little notebook, right? I was like, did he play baseball? She's like, yes. I'm like, did he have a leg injury? And she says, yes, that's why he stopped playing baseball. So I said, well, how do you connect to the numbers like 8 and 3? So she says, that's my birthday. So I was like, oh, girl, yes. So he just wanted to come by and tell you, like, he's so proud of you. And, you feel like nobody else is on your side, but he's like your biggest fan. And I haven't given this woman no spiel. I haven't told her how it works. The woman trying to do my makeup, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I am so sorry, right? So she's like, looking like she's about to cry. And then I feel like if she cry, I'm going to start crying. The whole makeup thing is coming.
Be a mess.
Right. So then Yandy actually walks in the room. And I'm like, oh, she looks really familiar, right? Because I don't really watch a whole lot of television. So I'm like, she looks very familiar. She comes, she introduces herself. My producer and I, we go outside and we're sitting there. And because Yandy's not getting her makeup done, because this is Yandy's personal makeup person. And I'm sitting there and the producer gets a phone call and she says, what? She's like, what? What's happening? Oh, right? So she's like, she hangs up. She's like, Yandy says she's not comfortable introducing a psychic medium. And I was like, don't worry about it, girl. God just walked in the room, right? She's like, what? Little white lady. She's so cute. She's like, what? I'm like, don't even worry about it, right? Like, we about to see God, right? So we go back in the room and Yandy's crying. The makeup lady's crying. And Yandy's like very apologetic. She's like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. Like, You know, it's just that, you know, I grew up in the church, and growing up in the church, this is what we believe. And I was like, I get it. Like, I'm a minister as well, right? As I'm saying this, this guy walks in. He has on his mask and everything. So he pauses and he's like, Dr. Lakara Foster? And everybody looks at him. And Yandy's like, do you know her? He's like, yes, I know her. That's my pastor from my church. I was weak, right? I was like, oh my God, right? So he takes off his mask. I recognize the young man.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, God. So God is like, not only am I going to validate you as a medium, right? Because now she's, you know, Yandy's like, listen, like, there's no way you could have known this about the makeup lady. She said you couldn't have known about her dad or him playing baseball. And so she's like, okay, like, this is real. And she was so apologetic, but it was like God saying, listen, like, you're going to be validated doing both. Like, it's all good.
And the cool thing about this story, you guys, is I wanted you to hear it from a standpoint of walking in your gift. That is also a part of living your life and not just merely existing, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you're walking in your gift and you're walking in your authentic truth, God gives you downloads all the time. Absolutely. And if you're just walking around neck down dead, you're not hearing from him. You're literally just neck down dead, walking around. People talking about we're worried about a zombie apocalypse. The zombie apocalypse is already here because people are walking around merely existing. I don't know about
you're
you,
absolutely right.
But I'm trying to live the most abundant life that I possibly can live, right? Absolutely. And I think that we need to start having more conversations about not only walking in our truth, but walking in our gift and not be apprehensive because it's unfamiliar to us, right?
And I always tell people, Lola, I say, I truly believe that God, the universe, however people identify, God only gives us the gift that God can trust us with. That's your gift. Like, you got it because God could trust you with it, and you agreed that you would do it long before you got in these physical bodies, right? And all of your blessings and all of your abundance is tied to it.
Tied to it.
Yeah. I'm like, that's why I can't sing. God was like, I can't trust you with that gift. God was like, I can't trust you. I can't trust you with that.
I can't.
No,
I can't trust you with it.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments, hi Tamika, sales at ATL. She says, how do you get unstuck, Dr. Lakara? How does one get unstuck?
I tell you what, you get unstuck when you realize that it's not about you. It's not about you. We try to make this thing about us. We try to make this life about us. And that is ego, right? And I posted something recently. I said, when you say yes to yourself, right? When you give yourself a yes, you will change your life. When you give God your yes, you will change the world. Woo! Your yes to God is designed to change the world. And so for me, what I had to realize, I realized that everything that I had ever gone through, right? Everything, good, bad, or indifferent, God was saying it's not personal. It's because you said you could do it. You said you would do it. You can handle it. It's not personal. And so a lot of times we're like, why is this happening to me? No, it's happening for us.
Wait a minute.
It's happening for us.
Wait a minute, Dr. Lakara.
Listen now. Listen.
You just said a whole word right there.
Yeah.
It's not happening to us. It's happening for us.
Absolutely. God doesn't waste anything. God doesn't waste anything. So there are people, who say, I don't believe in brokenness, right? Because I believe that the only thing that can be broken is our ego. And our ego gets broken when we have set ourselves up to say, this is what I expected would happen. And when that doesn't happen, then we feel broken. Well, guess what? The soul had already decided, right? The soul had already come to the contract, right? And so I remember I was in therapy and I had been in this relationship that wasn't a great relationship at all, right? And I was telling my therapist, I was like, this person needed my help, right? We had been broken up for about a year or so. And my therapist said, well, why are you gonna help, right? And I said, it was kind of like that Color Purple aha moment, like when Miss Celie, what's her name, Miss Sophia is sitting at the table and she comes back to life and she just, she starts laughing. And I said, you know what? Everybody gets a pass today. I said, they get a pass. I said, I'm not holding on to any of it anymore, right? I'm letting it, everybody got a pass. I said, because I'm the only one that's holding on to, right. So when people say, how do we get unstuck? Like, you have to make a conscious decision. One, that I'm not going to be stuck, but two, that it's not about me. That if I don't give readings, right, then I'm keeping people stuck, right? Because there's somebody who needs to be free so that they can go ahead and live out their destiny. And if I don't do that, then I keep them stuck. So I take Mondays off, right? That's my day. That's the day I have. I'm gonna binge watch something on Netflix. Right. I'm gonna eat what I want to eat. But the rest of the week, it's like, no, it's go time. Because if you don't get up and do what you got to do, then other people, you can't connect to the people. Other people got to get up and do what they got to do.
Oh my God, this is so good. And when you were talking about it's not yours anymore, like you're letting it go. I had this real transformative conversation with your daughter.
Yes.
My physical daughter. I forgot to add this into her introduction, you guys. My personal biological daughter is her daughter. Like,
yes, that is my
I have given her permission to be her other mother.
Yes.
And she said to me, she turned 20 on last week, and she came in and she said, Mommy, she said, you know, all these things that I've been experiencing, she's like, I had this victim mentality and I was accepting all these things. And what I'm realizing is that I'm taking on their stuff. So it's not mine. Like, I need to hand it back to them because that stuff is not mine. I'm feeling guilty about things that have nothing to do with me. So I'm going to give it back to them.
My girl.
I almost broke down in tears. I said, you got it.
Yes.
You got it. You got it. And now, because she's living in that truth, now she can walk out her life. She's living and not existing and holding her breath for every time something is wayward, or if somebody says something to her that might pierce her or penetrate her.
Yeah.
She has on that shield now. She understands who she is and who she is and whom she comes from.
That's it.
So she's not worried about those things anymore.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I tell her all the time, I say, Lauren, if you learn this at 20, I said, because you're already far ahead. I said, you're already far ahead, right?
Right.
I'm like, but if you can learn these lessons now, like, you will save yourself a lot of time.
A lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time.
A lot of time. I know a lot of people are in the comments loving this dialogue that we're having with Dr. Lakara. Isn't she wonderful, you guys? I need you to heart it up, heart it up, heart it up, heart it up. When you think about the phrase life is for the living, what does that mean to you specifically in this time?
You know, one is that I know that we all have a finite amount of time, right? Whether it's 8 minutes or 80 years, right? We have and that's it. And so today I had this epiphany, and I was sitting with this, and I said, wow, like, today is the first day for the rest of my life, right? Woo! Yeah. And I said, and what that meant to me was that every day is a brand new start, right? Every day is the first day of the rest of your life. And so whatever you didn't get right yesterday, this is a new day.
Right.
And so for me, honestly, it is, I want to fulfill the contract, right? I want to fulfill the thing. Like, I truly believe, and I say this, that, you know, in order for God to experience God's self, God needed to create the physicality of man. Like, God needed to create physical beings because God wanted to experience God's self. And I believe that I hear you. I believe that when we don't operate in our gifts, we are denying God the opportunity to experience God's self through us. And how selfish of us is that, right? To say, God, I'm not going to let you be you. I ain't gonna let you be you because I'm scared. God, I ain't gonna let you be you because I don't got enough money. God, I ain't gonna let you be you because what? Because when you allow God, I got chills up and down right now.
Me
when
too.
You allow God to be God's self, and I tell people all the time, God ain't gonna let God down. We will let ourselves down, but God ain't gonna let God down. And when you are walking in that anointing and you are walking in that alignment, everything that you need, right, is in, I say in the will, right? And when I say in the will, I don't say it as I always say that God's not going to impose God's self on you. So we're not talking about a will as in a push, right? We're talking about a will as an inheritance, right? As in God, you keep me in your will because I want what's mine, right?
Right.
When we begin to walk in that anointing and that alignment, the things that because it's already done, right? So I tell people when I pray, I'm not praying for God to do anything because I know that it's already done. I know that there are things that God has allowed me to glimpse, right? Saying, because the scripture tells us, eyes have not seen, nor have ears heard, or entered into the minds of men, that which I have prepared for you. That thing got an ED on it, right? Let's be reminded, God has already prepared the thing. So then my prayer is, God, prepare me for the thing that you have already prepared. Prepare my mind, prepare my focus, prepare my heart, prepare my money, prepare my house, prepare my babe, prepare my parents, prepare my circle. And in my circle, no, I'm like, let's go, y'all. We got to get prepared for this thing that God has prepared for us because it's already done. So a lot of times when we haven't seen the manifestation of it, it's not because God ain't did it. It's because we ain't ready. And we ain't prepared. And we ain't did the work. And we ain't did the healing. And so when I think of that life is for the living, it's exactly what you're saying. It really is about joy, right? Like this work, like Lauren to tell you, I be so happy when I get to work, right? I be skipping in that thing. And she's always like, why are you so happy? What you got going on, Dr. Foster?
Right. Yeah.
And it's really because I'm always so in awe of the fact that I get to wake up and I get to go to this store that God allowed me and aligned me to open in the middle of a pandemic. And I have a great coworker, right, who we laugh and we just have a good time at work. And I get to help people and I get to see healing take place on a daily basis. And I'm like, this is my life. This is my life. Like this, that is so, because I said, yes, God, right? Because I said, okay, God, what they gonna say, God, I'm a minister and I'm a medium. And I know they're gonna talk and it's gonna have to be okay. It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
I saw a question in the comments that I think is key.
Yeah.
Seven-minded, thank you for your question. How do we get in alignment with our authentic spirit separate from what was taught to us? Ooh, that's good.
That is very good.
Yeah.
And that's such a good question. First and foremost, like it has to be a conscious effort, right? It has to be a very conscious thing to say, I'm going to do this no matter what, right? I'm going to do this no matter how much money I have. I'm going to do this no matter what people have to say. I'm going to do this whether people don't want to be my friend or people don't want to speak to me. I'm going to do this I'm going to do this no matter what. Because an alignment, and I tell people all alignment is what you say, what you think, and what you do, right? That is what integrity means, right? You say it, you think it, you do it. Now, I haven't always been in alignment. I'll tell people, like, there have been times where I'd be like, I need to lose 15 pounds. I thought it, I say it, I need to lose 15 pounds. And then I get to the gym, right? And I'm on the phone with my best friend and the whole hour done passed. And then I'm going to bypass the gym and go to the Popeyes, right?
Right.
Get the biscuit and the two-piece, right? And that's not integrity, right? That's not alignment.
That ain't in alignment. That ain't in alignment.
But when you think it, when you say it, and when you do it, that brings you into alignment. And you have to decide. You have to decide. There's always some people, the universe does not support indecision, right? So, and I said this to a client the other day. When you get clear, you give the universe clearance to move on your behalf. When you get clear, you give the universe clearance to move on your behalf. Right? And so decide what it's going to be. Identify what your gifts are. And I always say it's really the thing that you would do for free and then people will pay you to do it.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? And yeah, decide nothing less. Want nothing less. Settle for nothing less.
Settle for nothing less. I love this conversation, you guys. Is she not awesome? I was so excited about having Dr. Lakara on, and it's so key to not only walk in your gift, but when you're walking in your gift and you're living your best life, as a song would say.
Yes.
You know that, like you said, this is not about us.
Yeah,
This is
it's not.
our story isn't about us. It's about setting the next person free. It's
Yes,
about setting the
that's it.
next group of people free. We all have to be in the spirit of Harriet Tubman, because there's so many people around here that are enslaved in their mind, in their
Yeah,
thought process, in their belief system.
yeah,
They you, like you said, you think it, you speak it, and then you do it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Mindset, the conversations that we're going to be having from this week, from here
yeah.
all the way through the month of October, is going to be about mindset.
I love it.
So and that's why I wanted you to be at the forefront of this conversation, because I know when we talk about life is for the living, because a lot of people don't understand what living really is.
Mm-hmm.
What is your definition of living? And after we do this, I want you to tell us, one, where is the gift? Where's the store?
Okay.
Because people are in this comments like, well, where's her store? And I need to send her a cash app, because she done gave us a word. So I want you to talk to us about, what does a life look like? I mean, what does that walk look like for a person who needs to walk it out?
Yeah.
And then I want you to tell us what you are doing, where your store is, what's happening next.
Yes. And so for me, living is just that. I think it's just waking up in complete joy. It's giving. It's being okay with giving, right? It's also being okay with receiving, right? Living is laughter. It's enjoying the people who are in your life, right? It's enjoying your life. It's enjoying what you do. A lot of people get up, they go get a paycheck, and then that's it. And at 35, I was like, come on, God, it's got to be more.
This ain't it. This ain't it.
There is, and I mean, it was like I was making great money. The job wasn't hard, but I just felt like, and I knew that I wasn't honoring my yes, right? I was honoring my yes. I wasn't honoring God's yes. Let me say that much, right?
Ooh,
I wasn't honoring the yes that I was going to make to God. And so for people, that want to find me, my store is here in Atlanta, in Sandy Springs. It's Lakara with the Gift. I'm on all platforms at Lakara with the Gift, and the website. We have amazing, amazing products and candles and, oh my gosh, and incense and yes, and all kind of wonderful tools that people have. I'm usually there throughout the week, but usually always there on Saturday. I tell people, like, come kick it with us on Saturdays. Like you and I'm sorry about that. You come and you kicked it with us, and we have wine, we have great conversation, and sometimes I'm doing readings. It just depends, but yeah, it's like this life. 8 minutes or 80. Like, you gotta live.
You have to live.
Yeah.
I know people are asking, like, if I wanted to get a reading from Dr. Lakara. I know, honey, Dr. Lakara stays booked and busy. Okay, she is booked and busy, but I know you are like, you got a couple of slots left for this year. You guys, she already booked. Okay, up to the year. So if they are trying to get a reading from you, where do they go to get a reading from Dr. Lakara?
So they can go to my website at www.lakarawiththegift.com. And you just click the book a service. I think it's book services or something like that. We have probably like literally 3 regular scheduled sessions left sometime in November, I believe. And I will make room for like emergency sessions, but I see my assistant on here, Erica. You can, it'll tell you if you want an emergency session, how to book through her. But that means that my schedule has to be rearranged. So that was a little bit more.
It's www.lakarawiththegift.com.
Yep.
All right.
That's
so
it, Lakara with the Gift.
I just put it in the comment section, you guys. Make sure you go there. Dr. Lakara is the truth. Somebody said she definitely flows in her gift. She absolutely flows in her gift. And I just thank you for the conversation. I know there have been a lot of questions that we probably missed. Let me see if I can catch one more question before we get out of here. Let's see. I saw a really, really good question. Where is the question? Where is the question? Where is the question? It was something to the effect of, oh man. How do we find which profession/action serves God's purpose? Rashi 15. Thank you for that question.
And what was the question? How do we find?
How do we find which profession/action that serves God's purpose?
You got to go to God. You got to go to God, right? I think that, you know, if God is who created us, and God is the creator and we are the creatives, then we got to tap into that, right? We have to ask ourselves and really begin to look at, I have had these gifts. I've been aware of these gifts since I was about 2 years old. I did not have the ability to articulate what these gifts were, you know, what they were or what I was seeing, or I just thought it was, everybody was reading the obituaries at 2. That's what I thought. Apparently that is not the case, right?
Right.
Learned very early on, you know, that was not the case. However, it really wasn't until just a few years ago. I've been doing readings since I was 19. And it was really just about a couple of years ago that God said, you can't just do this in private anymore, right? There are so many people that you have to heal. You have to help heal. And so it was like, okay, so this is the next step. This is the next level. Okay, God, this is what we're doing. And one thing, you know, with the VH1 thing that I kind of meditated on and kind of really like listening to God with was that this was so much bigger than VH1, right? This was so much bigger than the celebrities. There were about, I think total the numbers, the clips that VH1 posted of me doing a reading with Rashida, and one I believe it was with Princess. Those clips are up to like, I don't know, like 5 million, right?
Oh,
Right. And
yeah.
so even with that, what God allowed me to see was that there were going to be so many people who were going to get their healing through this TV screen, right? That it was beyond VH1, beyond the celebrities. Like there were women who called or who emailed, you know, obviously the bookings went through the roof, right? But there were people who emailed and said, hey, what you told Rashida healed me, right? What you talked to Princess and what you said, like, healed me. And I was like, wow, like, so people are getting their healing through other people, right? And so imagine if I had said no to this opportunity.
Right.
Imagine that I had said, no, God, I'm scared. Or no, God, I don't, you know, want, if I had been in my ego, because I was in my ego, you know, at first. But then I had to be reminded, like, it's not about you, right? And so with that understanding, I just believe that when we connect to God and we begin to hear from God in terms of what have I been designed to do, right? What brings me joy, and what about it brings me joy that will help other people? This is what we're talking about, right? What about it brings me joy that will help bring other people joy? And it could be whatever. It could be acting. It could be singing. It could be making clothes. It could be teaching. It could be doing a podcast. It could be however you came to heal in the world, right? Is connected to your gift.
I want to go back to something about when we were talking about when people get stuck in the space when their loved one transitions, they get stuck to that moment.
Yes.
I want to use that analogy for not just somebody that has passed on.
Okay.
But somebody has something that they need to birth out of themselves, right? But something happens to them where they get stuck in that moment and it dies. Whether it's an idea, whether it's a business, whether it's something, but that business idea, literally life gets cut short.
Right.
And they get stuck just like the person who lost a loved one.
Yeah.
They get stuck in that same space where they get stuck right there at the transition of when somebody has said something to them that killed their dream based off of projected fear or whatever it was that they had.
Yeah.
Speak to not just the person who lost a loved one, but the person who lost their dream and their desire to do a thing that God gave them the download for.
Yeah. And so the thing with that is, again, when we get stuck, we don't get stuck in the spirit, right? Because if we believe, and this is my belief here, right, is that we serve a moving, living God, right? Or we serve a living God, and anything that's living is moving, right? When we get stuck, it's really, we get stuck in our ego, right? Because all of us have been stuck in a relationship, right? And I'll say you know, and I've been there. I've been stuck in a relationship before, right? Where God has invited me to leave, right? And I have said, no, I'm good. No, I know this is no good for me, but I do believe I want to stay, right? And God has said, go ahead, because God is not going to impose God's will on you, so you are more than welcome to stay, right? And so when we have these ideas that we somehow let die, or somebody, didn't encourage us, or didn't, it's nothing wrong with going back to it.
Come on.
You know, if Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, raise that thing back up.
Woo! That's good.
You have to speak life back into it.
You got to breathe life back into it.
If you feel like this is the thing, right? Because sometimes we can get attached to something that is not the thing anymore. Right. And I'll share this analogy with you, right? And I hope this resonates here. I was looking for, and I shared this with my friends. I was looking for what was it? I was looking for the vacuum cleaner, right? And I tore this house up looking for the vacuum cleaner. And I could not find the vacuum cleaner. So after an hour, that's a long time to go looking without just calling somebody who else live in the house with you, right? After an hour, and I mean, Lola, I went from the top floor to the middle floor to the basement and could not find the vacuum cleaner. Wow. So I called my partner and I'm like, babe, where is the vacuum cleaner? And she's like, it's at the top of the stairs. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now, mind you, I've been up the stairs, down the stairs, up the stairs, right? So by this point, I don't even feel like vacuuming. So a couple of days later, I'm like, okay, I really do need to vacuum because the dog done tore this toy apart and it's all over the floor. And I go up the stairs. And when I tell you, if it was a snake, it would have bit me, right? Because that's literally where it was. And I heard the Holy Spirit say, what you're looking for is not going to be in the places that you've been looking for it in. No. Right? That the places that you think it should be, or that it was, or that it might have been, it's not going to be in those places. And God says, in fact, it's right in front of your face. And God says, and I'm hearing all of this, right? God says it's in front of your face. And then God says, but in order for me to know where it was, I had to call the person who moved it. I had to pick up the phone and call the person. And so, and that, when I tell you that meditation was for me, because I said, God, like, there's something I needed. And I'm like, God, you got to help me with this. Right. And so I keep going to God to say, God, like, you got to help me with this, because it's been moved. And there's only one person who knows where it is, because that's who moved on one entity. So anybody that is in that space, like, I urge you and I implore you to go to God. Because if God has moved something, right, God will tell you it's no longer here, but let me tell you where it's at. See, because at one time I was a guidance counselor. And then God says, this ain't where it's at no more. And then I did real estate, and God said, this ain't where it's at no more. This ain't it no more. Pivot. But if you would look in the mirror, you would see. Because for me, I just need to look in the mirror to see. That's it right there. That's it right there. Yeah. So anybody, so I saw somebody asked about classes. I am going to be doing classes starting in January. So please make sure you follow me on these different platforms, because a lot of people want to know, how do they enhance their gift? How do they dig a little deeper? How do they move things out the way? How do they get unstuck? Right. So I'm going to get
that was the question. That was the question. How do you get unstuck? A stuck mindset. Somebody just put that question in there, so you flowing. So just keep on flowing. Go on and flow.
And so really, again, making the decision. It really is the awareness, one, that I am stuck. Right. That's the first thing, is to be aware that I am stuck. Right. The second thing is to surrender. We got to surrender our agenda. Right. So our agenda looks like, what did mama want me to do? Right. What did I go to college for? Right. What did Babe want me to do? Right. That's our agenda. We have to surrender our agenda. God, what do you want me to do? What did you create me for? Surrendering our agenda. And let me tell you something, honey. When you surrender that agenda, you might lose friends. You might lose lovers. You might lose, and you should be prepared to, and you should be okay with it. So the first thing is to decide, and I believe the second thing is to surrender, right? To be still, right? Because a lot of times we move, and I see a lot of people moving on the internet and ain't doing nothing. Be still.
Be still, right? Yeah. Type that in the comments, y'all. Be still.
And then I tell people, and then the last thing for me is, I know, because people say, how do you know it's God talking versus you? And I tell people, I like comfort. And God always said, what God asked me to do is often very uncomfortable. And that's how I know it's not me. I like fuzzy socks. I like a blanket. I like, you know, my favorite shows on TV. I like comfort. Okay. And then God will say, go open up a store in the middle of a pandemic.
And did, and it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't no fuzzy socks to it.
Listen.
None.
None. Listen, God says, you're going to tell the world you are a medium and a minister.
Not comfortable. No
Not
fuzzy
comfortable.
socks to that at all. None.
Exactly. and so I know, but I said yes. And so I know that if I do it afraid, if I do it scared, if I do it with the backlash, I always say I'm always doing it for an audience of one. You know, I said I'm gonna throw this brunch. Don't nobody but God got to show up, because God, you told me to do this brunch. So if you show up, I'm okay with that.
We got 5 minutes. I want to thank you guys for not only joining, tuning in, sharing it with your friends, but I most importantly want to say this to you. Thank you so much for living, walking in your truth, and answering your call. Because I believe that so many people, like you say, hundreds, you work with hundreds and thousands have been, inspired. I just know that millions have been inspired, because like you said, that show, there's been how many hits on that show? 5 million hits.
Yeah.
So millions have been inspired by your gift. And if you hadn't walked in your gift, and you hadn't walked in your truth and listened to that calling on your life, and walking the walk, walking it out for real, because you said you like fuzzy things, the comfort. And I know you taking that step was not a comfortable step. And I think it's very important that people understand that living in your truth and walking in your gift is not about comfortability.
No, it's not.
It's not about comfortability. But I want to thank you so much, Dr. Lakara, for you walking in your gift. Thank you so much for this conversation. You guys, I have put in the chat, www.Lakara with the gift. I need you guys to go and follow her right now on all platforms. And if you haven't followed Heal Black Joy, please follow us, because we are putting in content everywhere. I am trying to be Sojourner Truth of healing our Black joy. Okay,
I love it.
That's my thing. God gave me the download, and I'm running with it. So go follow us at Heal Black Joy. There's a link in my bio if you want to know about anything that we're doing with Heal Black Joy, group coaching, live webinars, and more workbooks and everything. Please go follow Dr. Lakara at Lakara with the gift. And if your friends haven't seen this particular live, it is going to be on Heal Black Joy's page after we get off tonight. And it's also going to be on IGTV, on the section of IGTV. So please share this with your friends, because life is for the living.
And I will say this before we leave, if it's okay. First of all, thank you everybody that tuned into this. Thank you, Lola, for having me.
Thank you.
The young lady on here that lost her fiance, if she could get in touch with me, I want to gift her a reading. She was commenting and saying some things, and I really connected to her spirit tonight. And so if she's still on here, if anybody knows who she is, if we can maybe find her in the comments, if she would just DM me, and we will set her up a reading on me, compliments of me. And I want to be able to help her get unstuck and help her be able to find some healing and some peace around the passing of her fiance. There she is, Letitia Avery, it looks like. So
I got her name. I'll make sure that we get you guys connected.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for sharing your baby with me.
Thank you.
Is a joy to have around, and I mean that in my heart of hearts. And I just know that all of this was God. Like, I know that this was beyond us, and I know that God did this. And you are an amazing mother. I already told her, I said, listen, your mom has already done all the work, right? I'm like, I'll put in my little couple of hours a week, but you have done an amazing job, you and our father. And I thank you all for sharing her with me. And thank you for having me on this. And I know that this is going to be amazing what you're doing. And so I'm going to definitely encourage more people to follow.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good night, and let's go heal our Black joy.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.